If you own a bernette 33 or a bernette 35, we're teaching you all the insides and out of how to use these machines correctly and how to explore some of these stitches that are built into the machines. Hi, I'm Sarah from sewingmastery.com, where we do free video tutorials on sewing machines, sergers, and embroidery machines. So whether you have already purchased one of these models or you're looking to see if this would be a machine for you, these are a great reference to kind of go through the videos, see how easy it is to use these machines, and then you can find links to these machines in the description below. Buy them, then come back and rewatch these videos, and you and I will have fun learning and using these machines correctly from day one, so you're not frustrated. So one of the fun things I always do in our hands-on classes is have everybody stitch the triple straight stitch. So both the bernette sewing machines have this stitch, and it's actually in the red area. There's a straight stitch and a zigzag version, and I'm going to show you why I absolutely love this stitch. And so many people don't realize what it is for. They just think that it looks like three stitches, like 1, 2, 3 right next to each other, but it's not. It's all on top of each other, and it's going to give you a very secure stitch, but I'm going to show you some other cool things about it. We're also going to take the time in this particular tutorial and jump over. We're going to do stitch with letter C, with the zigzag, with the multiple point zigzag, and I'm going to teach you how you can create a mending stitch with it. And so if you have a rip in your fabric, how easy it is to put some interfacing on the back or another piece of fabric and use your machine to mend. Now, I promise I will not tell anybody that your machine mends. So if that is not why you bought this and you don't want to have to do anybody's mending, then that'll just be our little secret. But you and I know that it's actually not very hard when you know what stitch to pick and how to set it up on the machine. Okay, so first off, let's jump over to stitch A, so down here for a straight stitch. And the last video we just did was using some of these stitches down below. So we're already on the S area. So to get to the red stitches, you're turning your stitch length knob all the way to S. So that's for stretch, actually. And so all the stitches are preset from here on out for the stitch length. Now we still have the option, if we want on the bernette 35, to adjust the width. On the bernette 33, we do not have that knob, so they're already preset for the width that is the widest setting of the machine, which is usually just fine. But if you want to have a little extra option, the bernette 35 will give us that option. So first things first, I want to show you at the triple straight stitch. And the way I want to show you this really well is to take a piece of fabric, but I'm going to fold it in half on the diagonal. So what I'm going to be stitching on is the bias. And if you've pulled corner to corner of fabric, you notice how stretchy it is. So let's just go ahead, stitch, well, on a straight stitch, set it at 5, that's in the center needle position of your foot. And as we sew, what we're going to see is the stitch is going to go 2 stitches forward, 1 stitch back. 2 forward, 1 back. And see what you get? You actually get a stitch that is 3 times as thick. And I love this because it looks bold. It looks like I've used thicker thread, and it is going to be very, very strong. So many times people come into our store and they're like, I need really, really thick thread. And I know exactly what they're doing. They're sewing on something thick, and that's great. But most machines have this stitch. And then they're looking for a specific color. Of course, if you get a thicker thread, now you need a bigger needle. And then you need a bigger needle. Now you have to decide if you're going to put that thick thread in the bobbin too or not. Well, here we just use this beautiful hot pink thread, stitch the stitch, and let me show you what it's going to look like when we're all the way done. Do you love how professional it looks? The reason for that is because each time it's stitched, it went back in the exact hole of the previous stitch. Now remember, we were talking about the bias of the fabric, the stretchy diagonal. Look, when I pull on this, these stitches do not break. It actually stretches with my fabric, meaning it's very sturdy. And if you were doing something on like a pair of pants and you were sewing the crotch area, this would be a perfect stitch to go around that curve. So every time you sit down, well, you don't have to worry about this seam ripping out because you only used a straight stitch. Or maybe you went back and stitched it 3 times, 1, 2, 3, those stitches aren't in the same hole, and so we don't get this lovely stretch but secure seam. So that is one thing nice. I've often used this decoratively just because it is like almost like a way to add a highlight to an area or some extra top stitching for the bottom of jeans if you're wanting that thick look on the hem. That's one way to do it, and it just is so professional. Plus you can have any color you want because you're just going to pick your spool of thread, put it on. You notice I didn't adjust anything for tension. I didn't have to put a bigger needle in because I wasn't using a thicker thread. So I am going to show you, and we'll stitch right beside this, is the zigzag version of this stitch. Since we're still on the red row of stitches, leave it at the red S and then pick stitch B. Now I can have it any width that I want. Let's just leave it at 5, and it's just going to do a zigzag with those 2 stitches forward, 1 stitch back. I've often seen people do this with variegated threads, and it almost looks like rickrack. It's actually really, really pretty. So when you're stitching out your stitches, like we talked about, maybe making a page that has all these stitches stitched out, I'm always amazed when people get to these stitches and they're like, gosh, those really look pretty. I had no idea that they looked so much better stitched out than they do just on the front picture of my machine. Once again, if you're looking for a stitch that would really hold something together that's either come loose or you're just not wanting to have to go back and stitch something 3 times, just go ahead and pick one of your A or B stitches and let the machine do all the work for you. Okay, I mentioned I was going to throw in a mending stitch for this. So let's just pretend that there is a rip in here. Let's just do it. We'll go ahead and make a slit, and of course usually by the time you get it right, it's been through the wash and it's frayed out, and they're like, hey, can you fix this? All right, so what you need to do is you can't just put this under the machine as an opening and let the machine do stitches. You have to put something behind it. So I'm going to just put this piece of fabric back here. Sometimes I'll put interfacing and iron that on, and then because it's iron on, it can kind of help hold some of all the frayed out edges down, and that is really easy to do. And of course we would match our thread, so just find the closest color that you have for the fabric that you're working on. For today, it's going to be hot pink. So let's go ahead, let's go to stitch C, and we're going to be on the top row. So we're going to switch back to the black area. So black stitches need black settings, and I'm going to start at what we have as a default stitch length, 2.5, but you're going to find really quick that we're going to be somewhere between 0 and 1. To make this be most efficient, again, make the stitch as wide as it can go at 5, and we're going to be using our reverse button. So what we're going to do is we're going to zigzag down, and then we're going to hold this in place, and we're going to zigzag up, and I'm going to kind of turn the fabric so it can kind of go at an angle, and then we're going to zigzag down, hold the reverse button, zigzag up. And as one person said, it's like, oh, it's like when you vacuum your rug. So you go out, and then you come down and a little bit at an angle, and you go up, and then you come down. So you're just going to lay down a lot of thread, and because stitch C is a multiple point zigzag, it's going to do the work for you. I'm going to start my first row just a little bit to the side. So as I start, I'm really going to be catching the edge really well. And you can see how quick it's jumping down. Okay, so that needs to be shortened all the way down to between 0 and 1. Now let's look at the difference. I'm going to even go a little shorter. That's what we're testing right here. And then as we go back, Holding the reverse button down, letting go, and you can see that we're going to just start working our way, overlapping part of the last run, and then changing a little bit, so I'm moving my fabric with my fingers right here, so it kind of changes direction, let go, hold the reverse button down, let's just stop there and see how it looks. You can see that we have recreated all that stitching where the fabric had pulled apart. And again, if this was matching thread, you would not see it at all. And I know, that's why if you were surprised how easy it is, this is why we don't tell anybody. But if you have to do mending, you can say, gosh, that's going to take a long time. I'm going to need something for this little bit that I'm helping you out. You're going to have to help me out, especially if it's the kiddos, right? I'm sure you can get something extra out of the deal. And then you can go do this really quick and say it took you an hour. So mending stitches can be done with just the basic stitches built into the Bernette 33 and the Bernette 35. If this video has been helpful, make sure you're clicking like each time you watch one of the videos. And if you're ready to learn more, find the link in the description below or at the end of this video where you can watch the complete playlist from the very first one all the way through so you can learn this machine inside and out. Happy sewing!